بالله من الشيطان الرجيم واذكروا الله في أيام معدودات فمن تعجل في يومين فلا إثم عليه ومن تأخر فلا إثم عليه لمن اتقى واتقوا الله واعلموا أنكم إليه تحشرون صدق الله مولانا العظيم. So this is the final ayat of the 8 ayats which describe the injunctions of Hajj, the main activities of Hajj. So this is a very important closing remarks from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We might take a couple of extra minutes because of the importance and the comprehensiveness of this ayat. So, وَاذْكُرُوا اللَّهَ فِي أَيَّامٍ مَعْدُودَاتٍ. These are the culminating days of the Hajj in Mina. So these are not days of partying and festivities. These are days of dhikrullah. وَاذْكُرُوا اللَّهَ فِي أَيَّامٍ مَعْدُودَاتٍ. So those days of Mina, which are the days of the Rami. And so it's significant that we order of the remembrance of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala profusely, and also daily the stoning of the Rami of Jamarat is indicating and is allegorical to the decision and the determination to throw shaitan away and guard ourselves from, protect ourselves from his machinations, his suggestions. In the shaitan lakum aduwwun fattakhidhuhu aduwwa. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala announces that shaitan is your avowed enemy, so treat him as an enemy. So if you have an enemy, you treat him as an enemy, you are vigilant of your enemy who is planning an attack at every possible juncture. So daily, the stoning of the shaitan, that I'm not going to live a life of shaitaniyat and hayawaniyat, like an animal and like a Satan. I'm going to live the life of a human being. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has designed this whole system of Islam, meaning submission, and that is the whole concept of Hajj from the beginning to the end. Labbaik Allahumma labbaik. We are here hadir. What does it mean we're here hadir? To submit, to obey. Right? So these last days, culmination, these are days of dhikr, these are days of tadarru' on Allah, to supplication to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and continually, reviewing and renewing this determination to not live a life of a satanic life, but moreover an angelic and Islamic lifestyle. وَاذْكُرُوا اللَّهَ فِي أَيَّامٍ مَعْدُودَاتٍ. These are ma'dudat, and these were, of course, as we mentioned, this whole system of Hajj was originally established by Sayyidina Ibrahim alayhi salam. The people of Jahiliyyah had actually been carrying on this legacy to some extent, but had put innovations and twisted and changed the thing to some extent. So one of their misunderstandings was also that in Mina, whether to stay 2 extra days or 3 extra days. So some said you have to stay 3 extra days, otherwise your Hajj is not accepted. Some said no, you have to leave on the 2nd day, your Hajj is not accepted. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala informs that neither that, neither this. Moreover, if you want to stay 2 days and you leave from Mina before Ghurub al-Shams, before the setting of the sun on the 2nd day of Ayyam al-Tashriq, which is the 12th of the Hijjah, then no problem. La ithma alayh. However, if you stay up until and after the Ghurub al-Shams in Mina and you have not left Hurud of Mina, then you must stay for the 3rd day of Rami, which, according to some of the ulama, is on the same time, which is after Zawal. Some of the ulama are of the opinion, and this is also the opinion of some of the Sahaba and jurists, that, and this is the Hanafi point of view, that in the 3rd day there's a concession that in the early morning and even before Dhuhr, it is all right for the 3rd day only. Otherwise, the other 2 days, the Rami is going to be after Zawal. So, that issue clarified, so la ithma alayhi. وَمَنْ تَأَخَّرَ فَلَا إِثْمَ عَلَيْهِ لِمَنِ اتَّقَى. So these concessions are for who? And they are designed to facilitate who? The people of taqwa. So the people of taqwa, they are the ones who are going to benefit from the entire gamut of the system of Hajj. Otherwise, the people who are not observing taqwa, they're not going to reap the benefits. Although they may have completed, the rites of Hajj, The acceptability is according to taqwa. إِنَّمَا يَتَقَبَّلُ اللَّهُ مِنَ الْمُتَّقِينَ. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala only accepts those actions of the muttaqi, be it hajj or otherwise. So, من تعجب في يومين فالإثم عليه لمن اتقى ومن تأخر فالإثم عليه لمن اتقى واتقوا الله. Again, لمن اتقى واتقوا الله. اتقوا ثم اتقوا. Fear Allah, then continue to fear Allah. Abstain from the prohibitions and follow His orders, and still abstain from His prohibitions and follow His orders. This is what Hajj is all about, to condition ourselves. And one of the main conditionings that we have to condition ourselves is in Hajj is humility. You know, your designer clothes, your position, your status, you know, your quote unquote, you know, this and that and all the letters that you have after your name. It's all stripped from you, just as your, you know, your regular clothes are stripped from you, and you are just a slave of Allah in front of Him, and everyone in the same. And so this humility must be learned. At the same time, وَعْلَمُوا أَنَّكُمْ إِلَيْهِ تُحْشَرُونَ, and know that you will go back to Him. And as we mentioned earlier, this whole exercise in Arafat, this is one of the most stark examples and most, you know, prolific, you know, illustrations and sort of, you know, recreation, if you will, of that day when everyone is going to be standing, you know, waiting for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's decision. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give us all tawfiq. So, it's mentioned that one of the stories that Mufti Shafir, he mentions that one of our pious ancestors, there was one Mullah Jami, he was a very famous Persian faqih and scholar and mystic. And so one of his students and disciples, you know, was known to have a very great radiance. You know, and people used to, they would just see him and say, wow, this guy is really lit up, you know. And so he performed Hajj. When he came back from Hajj, this radiance was gone. So he, you know, Hajj, he should be all the more glowing, right? So he went to his Shaykh and said, hey, you know, what's this? I was having this radiance and now it's gone. He said, yes. Because before you went to Hajj, you considered yourself a sinner. You had humility. You used to cry to Allah in the night and ask for forgiveness from your sins. After Hajj, I'm clean from my sins. Actually, Nabi alayhi salatu says, who performs Hajj, lam yarfuth lam yafsuq, raja kayawmi waladatu umm. So the person who goes in Hajj and he doesn't, you know, commit on any injunction or any disobedience, in that Hajj, he returns from Hajj like the person who has just been born from his mother. In other words, without sin. So now you perform Hajj, you think you're without sin, and oh, here I am. Great me. So now that humility gone, the radiance is gone. And what was the downfall of Shaitan after all? What did he do? He was arrogant, that's all. Arrogant. So the whole idea is to strip ourselves of disobedience and arrogance. We're all the humble slaves of Allah and continue. So that person gets that fadilat who exercises taqwa before Hajj. He goes to Hajj. He continues to exercise that taqwa. And even if he wasn't muttaqi before Hajj, he prepares himself to learn taqwa in Hajj. And he determines that he will remain on a life of taqwa. And this is that person that will get that fadila, and this is the person whom Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's Hajj will be accepted. And the ulama say that the person who performs Hajj and removes the love of this world and prepares himself for Akhirat, it's accepted. Who returns from Hajj with the love of the world remaining, and even in Hajj now we have, you know, we see things in the marketplaces of Medina we don't find in our own places. This is a trick of Shaitan, you see. So the person returns from Hajj, remaining with this love of the world and the love of connected with the disobedient. It's not going to be acceptable. You know, you have to couple of love and muttaqeen. So may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make us muttaqeen. This is what this month is also all about. This is what Hajj is all about, and this is what the life of Ubudiyya is all about. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give us tawfiq. And may He make it possible for us to perform this Hajj, and all the Muslims, and hopefully everybody make dua that this year the Hajj, you know, this would be a great catastrophe and a greatest calamity if again this year the Hajj is, you know, is not open. So may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make tawfiq. we can make dua that we may go also, inshallah.